From our final speaker, Professor of Computer Science, Elias Bareinboim. Thanks, Elias.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Marta. Also, I'd like to thank Jeanette and Sharon for the invitation of being here today. My name is Elias Bareinboim. I'm a professor here at the Computer Science Department and also director of the Causal AI Lab. Check me on Twitter if you are interested in discussion, know what's going on with me and discussions on causal inference, data science, AI, and machine learning. Today, I'll be talking about causal data science. And I'm getting used to the system here, and I would like to share some kind of recent advance in the field. As I think we know, systems are able to perform extremely well predictions in high-dimensional settings. In particular, huge progress in natural language, NLP, natural language processing, computer vision, and reinforcement learning. This is just a classic for around maybe 4 years or so ago. The DeepMind's AI beats world's best Go player in latest face-off. This is in the domain of reinforcement learning and game playing. You also have, this is more general for society, AI and robotics are helping optimize farms to increase productivity and crop yields that is related to the computer vision and some kind of robotics. This is computer vision itself. AI systems is better than humans, doctors at predicting breast cancer. This is now changing to natural language. I think everyone is excited. This is kind of somewhat recent news about the GPT-3. This is the system from the OpenAI. Here, let me read the headline. This new language AI is uncanny and funny and a big deal. And I like more the subtitle saying that computers are getting closer to passing the Turing test. This is obviously the opinion of the writer. But this is quite interesting. The Guardian asked to GPT-3 to write an article to convince us that AI is not threatening in some way. And I would encourage you to check that is quite nice. And this is all awesome. I'm very excited as part of the field. And the question that I usually get that follows from that when I'm teaching AI or machine learning is, do all this progress means that we are done? In the AI problem. And done here means that if you give us more data or more computational power or money that we can buy the former two, we'll just be able to solve the problem and everything is great. Or is there some missing piece of the puzzle yet? Is there something in the foundations? And here I'd like to show the other side of the news. The NYPD used facial recognition to track down Black Lives Matter's BLM activists, which is concerning. This is Amazon Scrap's secret AI recruiting tool that showed bias against women. They kind of preempted the problem there, but it's also concerning the area of hiring. This is more scientific domain, but why AI struggles to grasp cause and effect. And this is the MIT Tech Review, what AI still can do. I recommend this piece, by the way. This is by Brian Beckstein. We are featured there, but it's very, very interesting. And I like, and the question here is like to put in words what is just in this news. There are still foundational challenges or problems in the AI. And as I said before, unfair and unethical decision making is kind of all over the place, usually because AI is bounded by the data that we have, and the data is just a picture of the world. Then if the world is screwed up or there is some kind of discrimination, the AI is just kind of carrying this over. And the question, we have a tough spot how to cope with that, given the data is the ground truth in some sense, or the distribution aligned the data. Data hungry and sample inefficient. I think it's well known. Those are black box systems. Then it's not interpretable nor explainable. It's very hard to get some trust in the system if you cannot explain, or it cannot explain why they are doing something in the way that they are doing. And there's complete lack of robustness and generalizability. It's all over the place. You do small perturbations in the data and you can have very different type of behavior in the system. Now, those are thorny and not new problems. We know many of generalizability. Machine learning essentially started discussing the problem of generalizability. Now we're just in another scale. And there are another challenge, much more challenging. And the question that I like to think, or what these problems have in common, my hypothesis, EB hypothesis, they have the lack of causal inference capabilities. I think if you nail the causal problem, we'll be much better in these dimensions. And in order to understand that, I would like to elaborate a little bit more and introduce something called the ladder of causation. The reference is downstairs there in the slides, the Book of Why by Pro, and this article, check on my website, I'll share later, the R60 that is discussing the ladder. I think it's a fundamental piece of the puzzle. There is the first layer of the ladder that is related to the activities of seeing. How would saying X change my belief in Y? Kind of questions that you like to answer. What does a symptom tell us about the disease? Is very related to the activity of supervised learning and unsupervised, and there is machinery for that, such as decision tree, deep networks, and so on. Huge progress here, how to solve the problem. Again, predictions in higher dimension. Amazing. Now I have a more refined type of the layer that is called the interventional layer that is related to actions or doing. What if I do X? What if I take the aspirin? When will my headache be cured? This is machine learning, has the counterpart called reinforcement learning. We have Markov decision process, partial observables, MDPs, and so on. Very nice progress as well, such as the Go, for example. Again, climbing up in the ladder. And we have a third layer of the ladder that is related to counterfactuals. I put the brain there because it's deeper type of thinking related to this will be the basis for discussions in fairness, interpretability, explainability, and being more sample efficient and so on. Very related to the idea of, again, imagination, retrospection, even the introspection of the agent. Why type of questions there? What if I had acted differently? I didn't, but what would have happened? Was it the aspirin type of questions that you can get examples? Was it the aspirin that stopped my headache? Or would I be with headache had I not taken the aspirin, given that I took and I'm okay now? Just paraphrasing here in counterfactual language. There's no counterpart of that in a good way, right? A general way in the domain of machine learning. In the domain of causal inference, this comes under the rubric or the name of a structural causal model. Now, let's check the reference, by the way. What's the challenge then that they're talking? Challenge beyond what we are used to doing in AI is that we're trying to do inferences across these layers. I just copy layer 1 and layer 2, and I would say usually the input data that we have, 99% of the time, is coming from layer 1. The data lives in layer 1. Most of the available data, let me read, most of the available data today is observational, that is passively collected. And in reality, we are trying to make a claim. The output or the query is about layer 2. Most of the inferences are about causal effects, the effects of new policies, new treatments, or new decisions. Then how do you go around that we have this tension between where you collect the data and what we are trying to answer from this data? Let me read the research question. How to use the data collected from observations, that is layer 1, to answer questions about interventions, that is layer 2. I can also do it, I just didn't have the space in the slide in the time, how to collect data that is layer 1, or a combination of layer 1 and layer 2 to answer a question about layer 3, that's about fairness, explainability, interpretability, and so on. Challenge how to move, I call cross-layer inferences that we're not used to, at least in ML and statistics, in a more standard way. Now, going back to the capabilities here, we have been doing some kind of work. You have been doing some kind of work in the field. I just put some links if you want to think about the causal inference and field. Apologies for not being able to talk more about that. There's a short talk. You check causalfusion.net, some sort of spin-off. The causal reinforcement learning, or the CRL, that is the marriage between reinforcement learning and causal inference, and which leads to robust decision making. You check the crl.causalai.net. There's almost 4-hour lecture or tutorial that I just did in the ICML, the machine learning conference, explaining what does this means. If you're interested in fairness and ethical AI, check the fairness.causalai.net. Also, there is a tutorial, and if you are interested about generalizability or transportability or transfer learning, as Samori said, check the causalai.net. This is the general link. Then I'm going to my conclusions here. I think I'm on time. Causal inference and data science are fundamentally intertwined, and novel learning opportunities emerge when this connection is fully acknowledged and then understood. We are working on that. One thing that we already noted is that most of the impediments for general AI today are orthogonal to the current non-causal methods available in the acausal methods available in ML, including deep learning and reinforcement learning. These should be coming together, but they are kind of different parts, different components of the basis. Research program that my lab and I'm engaged is develop a general framework. And what I mean by that is a set of principles, algorithms, and tools for designing causally sensible AI system, integrating these three different things: observational, intervention, and counterfactual data, modes of reasoning, and knowledge. And this leads to a natural treatment of human-like explainability and even and rational decision-making. Whatever rational, if you're interested, you can ask questions what rational means in reality. This is a huge effort. First, thank you for listening. I'll be happy to take questions. And also thank you for this is joint work. Thank you for the collaborators and the Causal Lab. This is a huge effort. Thank you very much.